Hey YouTube, in today's video I'm showing you guys how I color my wigs, specifically the lace, but I do have a clip in this video of how I color the bundles as well. I'm using jet black and I'm going to start with the closure at first. To get started, I'm just going to prep the closure by spraying some Got2b spray on the hair, and I'm just going to comb those hairs just to make sure that they all are in place and not in the way when we start the coloring process. There are plenty of tutorials out there that use different methods to protect the lace, but what I find to work the best is Gorilla Snot. So what I do is I take the yellow Gorilla Snot and an applicator, and I'm literally just pasting it all over the back of the closure. And once I finish pasting it over the back of the closure, literally every inch and even some of the lace above where the actual hairline is, then I will show you how I prep it to dry. As you can see, I've covered literally every inch of the lace where the hair is and a little bit in front of the hairline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that closure and then place it on a wig head, and I'm going to sit it under my dryer. If you don't have a hooded dryer, you can always use a blow dryer to complete this process. But for me, since I do have a hooded dryer, I'm just going to go ahead and place it under that dryer for about 15 minutes on high heat. Once the closure is fully dried, it's time to move on to mixing the color. So the color that I'm using is by Ion, and it is the color 1V, which is a jet black. And it's very easy to mix. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. So what that means is for every 1 ounce of color, you're going to apply 1 ounce of developer. So I'm using a 10 volume developer with this color according to the instructions. And I used that whole bottle. So that was about 2 ounces of color. So I applied 2 ounces of developer as well. Now what I'm doing is I am sectioning my closure to get it ready to apply the color. I like to split my closure down the middle, and I take small sections on each side. So here we are at the most important part of the process, actually applying the color. It seems intimidating, but you just have to take your time and be neat. What I'm doing is I'm applying the color in small sections to the hair and not touching the lace. And then what I'm doing is I'm taking a fine tooth comb and I'm going back in and I'm combing the color through a little bit more towards the lace. You do have the Gorilla Snot underneath the lace to protect the lace from the color penetrating all the way through. It does a pretty good job of protecting it, but you still want to be neat with the way that you apply the color. You want to take your time and just take thin slices. I'm not using too much color. I'm using just enough to dab onto the hair, and then I'm going back in with that comb and getting a little bit closer to the roots each time. If you notice, I'm not applying the color all the way down the shaft right now. My main focus is getting the color on the hair that's closest to the lace down to about midway. When you're coloring your bundles, you want to be focused on saturation. But when you're coloring your lace, saturation is not the main focus. You just want to get enough color on there to actually do the job, and the chemical will do the rest for you. You don't have to worry about making sure that each strand is soaking wet in color. Once you get the hang of it, you'll get better each time you practice. What I suggest, if you are a beginner, I suggest using a test closure first before using an actual expensive HD closure. Test this out on a $15-$20 lace closure from the beauty supply store before you go in and mess up your HD lace. Here you see me applying a little bit of color directly to the small tooth comb. I'm doing this just to make sure that I get the color a little bit closer to the root. For your clients that don't play about their black, they don't want to see slightly brown roots. So I try to get it as close as I can as possible to the root without staining the lace and without getting it on the knots so that I don't have to go back and re-bleach the knots after the fact. If this is not something that you're comfortable with, I would skip this step and just continue applying the color directly to the hair and then just combing it through. I'm just going to continue to repeat these steps all the way up until the last section on this side. And then once I finish with this side, I'm going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side of the closure. To be honest, it's a very easy process, but it's just tedious. This is not something that you can rush into doing. You have to make sure that you take your time, because when you are either selling wigs or selling lace or even for yourself, you don't want your closures to get stained unnecessarily, because it reduces the coverage that you have on the lace. At this point, I've completed the first side and I'm moving on to do the same steps on the opposite side. Once I have all the color applied from the root to the midpoint, that's when I go back and I apply the color to the mid to the ends of the hair. And then once it's all applied, you allow it to sit and process for about 25 to 30 minutes according to the box instructions. As you can see, my application was not 100% perfect. There is a little bit of color on the lace, but we'll fix that. To create this look, this client did purchase 4 bundles of hair from me, as well as that HD lace closure that I just finished coloring. And this is me just showing you how I color my bundles. We live in a day and age now where people are watercoloring bundles, and that has just never worked for my clients. I will admit I tried it about 2 times, but my clients do not play about their jet black, and I don't play about them either. So when you pay me for a color service, you're getting a full color service, okay? Hand painted. At this point, the closure is completely done processing, and I'm just going in and rinsing out all of the color as well as removing the Gorilla Snot residue from the lace. The Gorilla Snot is 100% dissolvable in water. I just shampoo everything out to get it clean. And as you can see from showing the lace on the back of my hand, the Gorilla Snot protected my lace from those few little black stains that I had on the lace. And here is the final product. I put the wig together, styled it, and prepared it to ship out. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know in the comments field. Again, thank you guys for watching.